Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, and welcome to Morning Brew. Yes, I decided to start it early today because, well, just thought I'd be in for a little bit of fun. Hopefully, people get the word out that it's starting early today. Well, late, but early. Um, and since it's Friday, I am going to go ahead and put the link in the chat because that's a Friday thing. But before I do that, I'm going to bring up the guest from my last stream, Cosmic Fusion.
Hey, long time no see.
I know, but it's so long since we talked last.
It's always a pleasure.
And yes, Bird, good night, because there are people that are in um, Australia where it's currently night. Also, people in Australia or New Zealand where it's morning. So, yes, we cover all time zones. You actually do the same. You have more people over more area of the world than I do. But
That is how time works.
let me do something that Bird often forgets to do and pin the message.
Ooh.
And keep in mind that Bird has access, so he can pop in at any time that he wants. Let's get started with the chat. That's something I do on Morning Brew, by the way. And Dagey Sound says, "There we are. Good morning, Brew. Hello, Snorterpoopus. All right." And of course, Cosmic Fusion says hello again. Let's see here. I didn't see you tip your hat, so therefore I'll take your word for it. Hey, JG Sound, always good to see you. Good morning, 47 Yorktown. And yes, Morning Brew Dance Party. Yes, I am usually kind of dancing along, even though I'm sitting here. I'll even be playing the drums and piano. So it's kind of a dance party and, well, more. So, what is going on there, Cosmic Fusion? Anything,
I was just pondering how I'm too white to dance. So y'all can have a dance party, but I'll watch.
how are you? No, 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 no. Anybody can dance. Anybody can. Even Bird.
Nah, man, I stick to the white boy two-step. that's me.
I'll have to have Bird come on here and show that video. Well, you don't have the coffee while you're dancing. Coffee comes after you dance
Or before.
or before.
Possibly even both.
True. And good morning, Professor. Again, yes, I say so. And why? Because I'm the host and I'm always right, at least on my stream. And Professor says it's timey-wimey, but I'm not a Whovian, so we'll just go with that. And yes, Ozio Price is Oi. And hey, Snortapoopus Cuber. I think I need more coffee, but got some cherry limeade that I'm drinking right now.
I can
Hopefully
dig it.
it's got some caffeine in there.
I like a good cherry limeade every once in a while.
Yes, I had to mention Australia because there are people that actually live in Australia that listen.
Supposedly.
Well, I'm not talking Aussie or Prey. I'm talking actual Australians.
Oh, I'm just making a joke.
Now, Bird is not Aussie. Sorry. And that's funny. Trying to think. Chris is in Australia. He's one I've talked to before. And speaking of which, TWTG content, who is actually in Australia. Hey, what's going on, Chris? Ah, then I scroll down. This is one thing I love to see is people actually talking to each other in the chat. Uh, and of
Yeah,
course,
it's a great community.
we have Eric Sunder, who, how hot is it? Yeah, I know what he does when Australia is mentioned, but see, Chris or TWTG content is actually in Australia. Okay, well, then I'm not going to ask you to come on the stream and definitely not on camera, please.
I don't
You're
know,
awesome,
man.
dude.
Might get a bunch of views.
Might also get my channel banned. Now,
That
shirtless,
happens.
I don't have a problem with. I don't have a problem with seeing anybody naked because I used to work in nursing home. Once once you see the old people naked all the time, it's just like naked is nothing. It loses all appeal. It's like okay, naked. Yeah. It's kind of like the big busted women. It's like after working in a nursing home, those are going to be at their waist when they're you know in there. So it kind of loses that image. Just kind of goes in your head and like, oh, okay, yeah, lovely.
Yeah, it seems like something that would be kind of hard to forget, unfortunately.
And yes, because you're not on the stream, I guess it technically is closing optional because yeah, but we're not going there.
You only have my word for it that I'm wearing pants.
This is true. Well, it depends on what you mean by pants. If you're talking the American version, then I don't know. But I hope you're wearing the, um, excuse me, the British version, which would be what we would call underwear. But I don't know either. I know you're wearing a shirt.
Gotta use the old imagination.
Okay, I prefer to imagine that you're wearing pants. That's.
Because I am like an adult.
I mean, even if you were wearing sweatpants, it was just still pants. But Uh, dude, you're not fat. I've actually seen you on camera. You're not fat. You're not ultra skinny, which is kind of anyhow.
I doubt that being even if you were fat, I doubt that that would lose anybody subs. That that doesn't track. You should see some of the channels out there.
I've seen a few. Some of them, it's like, okay, you do you.
Like, yeah, just like okay, good luck.
Boxer's good. Boxer briefs are good. No other, no song or anything like that, please. This is. I have thrown the link out there. I've even pinned it in chat. So if anybody does want to join, you're more than welcome. Bird, what the hell are you doing? Why are you not up here?
Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm intimidating. I wouldn't want to stream with me either.
And why is that? We're going there.
I don't know. I didn't really have any thought process behind it when I said it. On the spot, if I just have to make up reasons, let's go with because I'm ugly and I'll say crazy shit that'll get your channel banned given a long enough time span.
Oh, crap. I'll just give you crap, Bird. I'm sorry about to hear that.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, go back to sleep, dude. Go back to sleep. Get some rest. You don't need to be in the stream when you're not feeling good. And if you don't, I'll just message Mama Pray and tell her what I think.
Just ban him from the channel until tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think we all do, Dave.
Yeah, no, definitely. Feel better.
Take care of yourself, Bird. Get some rest. And Chris says it's all about camera angles to make me look good. I kind of doubt that, but even if it were true, yeah.
I mean, camera angles help to make everyone look better.
Well, yeah.
For instance, when I do this, I look awesome. Much improve.
Oh, shut up. I still
I'm
think
glad I
you need
can.
a Get the Lemons avatar.
A what?
Get the Lemons avatar. He's the one that did mine. He did birds. He's done a lot of people in the community with their avatars.
Okay. I'll have to look into that.
He even does he even did a couple for uh what Rosetta, Eagle Rider.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, I've got. I'm
yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
go on.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I've got a couple of ideas. I haven't gotten around to actually turning them into reality yet. I'll probably end up making something very similar to my old logo, just for a little bit better cross pollination with brand recognition.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, because I mean that's been the biggest challenge ever since taking over this channel and rebranding. Because I deleted or hid a little bit of both all of the content that had been on there from Edgeverse
Hmm.
and have started re-uploading my own content. But it's a bit of a challenge when people go to the channel and they see that it's sitting over 1,000 subs, but I get 30 views on a video, and they're like, "What's wrong with this picture?" And it's basically just that Edgeverse's old subs haven't realized that the channel's rebranded, I think, and my new subs are the ones that are watching the content now.
Well, I know people who have over 1,000 subs who still have 30 to 40 watching their videos. Not, not like hundreds like you would think would. So it all depends. And like somebody like Games, Movies, and Comics or Us has his live streams. There's certain ones he'll get like 5 or 6 views. Others he'll get several hundred. And good morning, brightest day. Good morning, simple. Uh, good morning, BK Dan. I was thinking I saw Simple Jack back in there, but guess I didn't. Uh, brightest day says I may get a dozen views at the most. And
Yeah,
good night, Krish. See, Bird, it is night somewhere. Haha. And hey, Keely Chow, what's going on? Sorry, I wasn't reading the chat in the other. Oh, brightest day. 5 to 6% of your sub count is
that's probably
high.
where I'm at.
That's high, actually. Because if you look at somebody like Bird, he has about 2% at most. So 5 to 6% is high. At one point, I had 10% of the people that were subscribing to my channel watching it. And it's like, holy shit. The number's low. But when you think about the percentage, it's like, oh, wow.
Well, that's the frustrating part for me. I was at prior to the rebranding, I was sitting at 165 subs, and I had 60% to 80% retention by the next day. Most of those people had watched whatever content I put out.
Yeah, that's a huge,
Yeah,
that's
that's
a
that's
huge
I
number.
can't get anywhere near that now.
I mean, there were people who would pay for that kind of percentage. That's high. I mean, you can't even. You got corporate accounts. They would pay for 1% because they've got like you know 5 million subscribers. But if you look at the number on their channel, uh, yeah, they've got 1,000 views. That's just
Right.
not really that much. It's not really that much in the big picture. I mean, the number looks good. Don't get me wrong, but you blabbed about what for a couple hours the other day?
Sub counts and their null impact.
Get 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 up here, brightest day. Get up here. I want to talk to you. And while I'm waiting for brightest day or Keely Chow or someone else who wants to come up as well, I'm going to welcome onto the panel NB Geek.
Morning, guys. How are y'all doing today?
Morning. Doing all right. How about
Morning.
yourself?
Wife and I, you can probably hear it in my voice. Wife and I are recovering from a cold, uh, which I'm on day 3 of it, and thankfully the only thing I've got now is my voice. My wife, she's on day 2. She yesterday, oh my God, she had everything I had the day prior: the body ache, the headache, all that fun shit that comes with a bad head cold.
Sounds like me the last 2 days.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Yeah, ditto. It's finally I woke up this morning feeling better though, so props to that.
Oh, that's awesome. But yeah, so my wife stayed home. Now we kept the kids home yesterday because neither one of us felt well enough to drive and to get the kids to school. But got them to school today. It's all good.
Nice.
Cosmic Fusion, nice to meet you. I don't know if I've talked to you before. If I have, I don't remember.
Yeah, it's hard to say, man. Prior to my rebranding on a previous channel, I was all over the place. So we there's a chance we've been on a stream together before, but just in case, nice to meet you. Uh, Always a pleasure.
So you guys were talking about something about subs, Cap.
Oh, well, just that if you look at there are a lot of people have a high sub count, but they have a low percentage of people watching them
Ah,
versus. And this came about because Brightest Day was talking about a 5 to 6% of the people who are subscribed to him watching him, which is actually high. Um, according to YouTube,
I
because I have about 2%. I'm thrilled by that. That's still high.
I'm honestly thrilled that, well, I'm now going to hit my seventh time of hitting 250. So maybe I should give my next, the seventh
Oh,
250 subscriber a free toaster.
huh.
I've I've hung around. Uh, hey, brightest day.
BK Dan.
BK.
Sorry, fuck, I forgot. I didn't have the line. I thought. Sorry, I thought you were brightest day for a second for some reason.
No,
I know. Captain said he was bringing up brightest day. They're talking about him. So
no,
my
Brightest
bad.
is at work. He's at work right now. Uh, so how's everyone today?
I'm on day 3 of a cold. I'm feeling a lot better, thankfully. Just
That's
got a
good.
sore throat.
That's good. That's good. Uh, no, lovely day in paradise over here. So yeah.
Yeah, let's see. It looks
Oh,
like the sun's up for you. It's still down over here.
Yeah, well, it's cloudy as hell. So
Yeah,
it's
sun's just now crescenting over now here. It's kind of weird because it's 8:45 here, but if I drive 5 miles west, I'm in the central time zone because I'm in Illinois. Yeah, I'm that close. Actually, I got to be honest though, that was kind of a childhood dream, was always to know exactly where the time zone change was.
yep.
ah, well, thank you, Trish. That's always good to know. That could be something I could do at another time. Because I do know that there are channels out there that do try to help with others with gaining and the number of subs they have,
Mhm.
which is always good.
What are you at right now, Cap? You're at, I think it was 586. That's
Yeah. Well, I was up to 602, but YouTube and their shenanigans.
Well, now that you're over 500, have you been taking advantage of your community tab?
oh, I've had the community tab for a while. I've been happy when they lowered it to 500. It's like, oh, thank God.
Okay.
that was
Oh
my
yeah.
main goal before. It's like, okay, I really want to get to 1,000 subscribers because that way you get the community tab.
Hmm.
And then they announced, oh, we're going to be lowering the number of subscribers for the community tab to 500. It's like, oh, hell yeah. I was like 10 away at the time. It's like, oh, I'm at 490. Cool. I'll be able to get the community tab. And that actually motivated me more.
So, just out of curiosity for people who may not know, what is the community tab?
Okay. Community tab is basically a way, like some people will have a poll on Twitter. I can have a poll on the community tab. And because not everybody's on Twitter, everybody who watches this is on YouTube. So basically, in theory, everyone who subscribed to me has the ability to access my community tab and take part in the poll.
Okay.
Whereas with Twitter, it's only a select group, and there'd be people that don't watch the channel who would answer. There'd be people who, but with using the community tab, I can also post other things on there as well.
Channel
So,
updates. And...
yeah.
By the way, I like your green screen back there.
Thank
Very
you.
nice.
It's actually a virtual background. I don't actually have a green screen. StreamYard will let you do that if you have a GPU, and you just go to cam mic settings and virtual background.
Yeah, I've tried that with mine. My computer's just not up to snuff for that right now.
That's awesome.
Okay, I did not see that cucumbering.
I could literally say now, "My, what a lovely cucumber you have."
Right. Yeah. I also have this one that I use on occasion for the audio avatar. Never pass up a good Brie Larson joke.
Never.
Wait a minute, I thought she was the joke.
She is a joke, yes. You're not wrong. Her and her gimpy
Hey,
foot.
I just have this. I thought it was so hilarious when I saw the interview, the phone interview they did with the porn star who did the show, and she made a point of saying, "Yeah, Brie Larson has like tiny small tits and no ass." She's like, Captain Marvel has big tits and a nice tight firm ass.
Yeah, Brie Larson was not the right casting choice for anything, much less that.
I think that is
A
the
plank
only
of
movie
wood. She would be a perfect casting choice for a talking plank of wood.
Oh yeah, she'd be in competition with Mikey Spock.
And what's her name from Twilight? Kristen Stewart. Yeah,
And
all the
let's
charisma of a rock.
Oh, yeah. Let's see here. Good morning, Resolute Germ.
I agree with Brightest Day. That was a missed opportunity right there for who they should have cast as Captain Marvel.
And good morning, Mike. Yes, go ahead.
Oh, no, that was it. I was just agreeing.
Let's see here.
I was looking at what they said.
Good. Let's see here. Good morning, the Catman Dee Dee Myers. What's going on, Resolute Germ? And let's see here now. And good morning, Robert Rose Jr. How are you today? Hello, Arson. That's right. Casting choice for anything. Spit my coffee out, damn it.
Yes,
Like I said, a plank of wood, a talking plank of wood. I think would be a perfect casting choice for in the right costume.
What do you guys think of? And I never can say her name right. Kirsten Dushku, or not? The one who played Faith in Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Eliza Dushku.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I'm really bad with her name.
As intersectional as it was for its time, I actually really enjoyed Dollhouse, which
Yes,
yeah.
Dollhouse was absolutely original. So of course Fox fucks it up.
Well, yeah, and it was. I don't even think that they originally aired it. I think they aired it on Fox after the fact, and they still fucked it up because Joss Whedon originally did it as like a web series. It was one of the first webisodes type of thing, I believe. I could be getting that wrong. That was a long time ago.
I think I remember reading somewhere in an article about when Dollhouse came out that it was flat out stated Josh Whedon was hesitant to even work with Fox again after they fucked him on Firefly.
Which is understandable because if you look into that, Firefly was putting up numbers that they wish they could get today. Like they canceled that show, and Batwoman and shit like that can't touch the numbers that Firefly was doing. That show failed for mostly two reasons. One was that I can't remember the department, but some department inside Fox misreported the viewing numbers, and they were reporting the numbers for a less popular show as Firefly's numbers to executives. And then on the other end of that equation was Fox aired those 14 episodes or whatever it was that they had out of order. So you start watching the show and you're on like episode 5 and you have no fucking idea what's going on. The next one's episode 2 and it was utter chaos.
If I remember correctly, the first episode they aired was technically the third episode because I believe the first one was a two-parter. So they started with the train job.
Right. Yeah, I think that's right. That sounds right.
Now I don't remember when they even showed the pilot.
I remember watching them live, but I don't remember what order they aired in. But I'd know that they were aired out of order.
Yeah. Let's put it this way. The numbers for Firefly starting out, we're looking at, check this out. They started out with a train job on September 20th. They didn't even show the original Serenity until December. Because I'm looking at the air date. Yeah, tell me about it. So, train job got a 6.2 US view, 5.4. I mean, they were solidly in the fours. And then there's like no reporting in some areas. But yeah, they were solidly in the fours with only one dropping down, the mid high fours.
And is there any mainstream cable show right now putting up 4s?
At this point, I don't think so. I would be surprised. I mean, it's hard to tell now because most shows, you don't get the streaming numbers.
Right.
And hard to get. But you have shows like Batwoman and all that bullshit on the CW, and they're hanging on by like 0.7, 0.8. And I'm like, I'm actually going to do a video eventually about the history of the CW because I was looking at when it was the WB and the numbers they were putting up back then. They were putting up 5 and 6 numbers. 5 point this, 6 point this, 4 point this. I mean, that for a small channel like they were rocking in the ratings.
Yeah, I remember when they were the WB. They had a fairly decent amount of well enough shows, of watchable shows.
They had a very, if you think about it, as much as they talk about diversity nowadays, which is kind of stupid because they're failing at what they're doing, WB had a kind of an a la carte for people. You had things like Everwood and Seventh Heaven and Dawson's Creek for that era of people. You had things like Buffy and Angel for that group of people. Uh, there were several other shows I can't think of, but they really had a nice balance of there was something for everybody really in the WB at the time. You could find something you enjoyed.
And there was a lot of cross pollination with audiences. As I couldn't tell you. I want to say I was probably like 14, 15 in that era. Um, I watched Everwood. I watched Buffy. I watched Angel. I watched a lot of the shows that you just. I think the only show you just named that I didn't watch was Dawson's Creek. Uh,
I think
so
that's the
yeah, I
only
mean,
one.
Agreed.
Roswell too. Roswell, another one.
Roswell. And didn't that
Yes,
eventually move to Sci-Fi?
I don't know. I'd have to check. Keely Chow, yes, UPN's history. Actually, the reason why I didn't get to watch Voyager and Enterprise until I bought them, all the way through, is because UPN wasn't available in every market at the time. And the market in the places I lived, it was not available on any cable or satellite channel.
Which is unfortunate because it was actually a good network.
Yeah, they
Until
were
they
the network.
until they went downhill.
Now they were the network that gave us Hercules, Xena, and I remember they started out with like Hercules and Tech War, and they started out as basically those TV movies. The Hercules started out as TV movies. They did another Midnight Run mini movies. They did whatever I just mentioned, Tech War. So they did have some good stuff too. And then,
Wasn't
of
that
course,
also the channel responsible for Andromeda? I could be wrong on that.
They might have been.
I'd have
Or
to
was
check.
it
I can't
Sci-Fi?
comment.
I don't know off the top of my head.
I can look it up, see where Andromeda was airing. I thought Andromeda really got good at season 3. But I've got to be honest, the CGI is just terrible. Even for back then.
Oh yeah, I agree. I kind of feel the same way about Farscape, but I do still enjoy Farscape.
I would disagree. I think Farscape tends to hold its own. Maybe it's because I'm biased at the practical effects of the puppeteering, and I'm a big Jim Henson fan.
Oh, well, to be fair, the practical effects are great. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
speaking just purely on the the digital effects of the time, there are very few shows really got. Like I love Babylon 5, but I mean, if we're being honest, some of those effects do not hold up very well. You really got to suspend disbelief.
Yeah, there is that, but I can look past it because I absolutely love Babylon 5.
Oh no, agreed.
Have you heard about the CW doing a reboot?
Yes, I have.
J. Michael Straczynski's doing it too.
That still does not inspire my confidence.
No, not given what he's said about it. Just ad-libbing off the cuff because it was a big long spiel. But he said something to the effect of he wants to take everything that he's learned since then and write a completely new Babylon 5. It's not going to be just a remake. He's going to tell a brand new story for a modern era.
Oh God.
Yeah, that's what I've seen too.
Yeah, that was the key word right there. Anytime I hear the word for the modern audience, I'm like, okay, there's a major fucking red flag.
Yep. And if you look at some of the stuff he says on Twitter, It doesn't inspire confidence.
I'm kind of a mixed bag myself on it.
Andromeda was on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Sci-fi. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I
Okay.
had to look for where it was on there. I mean, even the Sci-Fi Channel used to give us great content. I mean, we got Battlestar Galactica. We had
SG-1, Atlantis
SG-1.
universe.
Well, SG-1 after season 3.
Yes.
It was on Showtime before that.
Well, season 3 to
10.
season
10.
8.
10.
Well, no, what I was gonna say is like if you could watch Stargate without watching seasons 1, 2, 3, 9, or 10 and be fine.
And even though Keely Chow has since gone over to Loki's, he said that the WB and UPN were rolling in their graves because of the CW. No, the UPN and WB were rolled together to create the CW. Unfortunately, that didn't seem to work out quite as well as they hoped.
What else started out on the WB? The first season of Supernatural was on the last year of the WB. Smallville, that was another one that was on the started out as WB.
Really, Brightest Day. What kind of physical media are you talking about? I'm looking into some things as far as possible giveaways, but that's down the road. That's the after I cross 1,000 subscribers thing. So that's, if we're talking at least a year down the road.
Brightest Day is close. I think he's in the late 7s or the 800s
Yep.
now.
Awesome.
And
Good for him.
He should have passed by 1,000 by now, but with things going on in his life, I can understand. And good morning, Raquel. How are you? Oh, and good morning, Hester. How are you today?
I think I actually remember that show, Jack and Jill Hester, but I don't think I saw it. I mean, not every show.
Yeah, I remember it myself, but yeah, I don't remember seeing it.
Yeah, the name sounds familiar, but that's about all I could tell you is that it existed. Wasn't that also a movie with Adam Sandler, like a really bad movie?
I think so, but I'm going to be honest. Adam Sandler's is like, to me, Jim Carrey right now. They lost it. Yeah, I'm just not seeing it. I mean, closest I've seen with Jim Carrey was when he did Sonic, and the only reason I was okay with that is because he was so over the top, and I was like, okay, that's kind of a Jim Carrey thing. And I mean, I remember Jim Carrey from In Living Color, and I always thought he was so hilarious. But
it wasn't the firefighter's name or
Fire Marshal Bill.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, Fire Marshal Bill. That was a really funny skit. He also did like a workout woman. I don't remember her name, but I do remember that. And
that'd probably be a good way to get canceled now.
Oh yeah, nowadays they probably couldn't get away with. There's probably a lot of things in Living Color couldn't have got away with now, which is funny because it was completely run by the Wayans brothers.
Right. Which also just kind of disappeared and stopped making stuff.
I remember one of the funniest episodes was when Keevan Ivory Wayans, the one who was running the show, he goes, people say all we do is make fun of white people. He goes, no, we have a very scientific select process for doing this, okay? And he pulls out this big wheel, and it's just white people, and then there's like one section of blacks, Asians, Hispanics, and he spins and he goes, see, folks, that's science. Now we're going to, I'm not saying it correctly, but I mean, the point is, he's like, spins the wheel, he's, All right, folks, today we're talking about white people. And it was so damn funny.
It's a complete avenue of humor that you just can't access anymore.
No.
But when I look at some of Adam Sandler's older movies, I can still watch like Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore and a few like that and still laugh at them. But some of the stuff afterwards has not aged well. And I'm going to be honest, most of Jim Carrey stuff, I can't watch anymore. I just don't find, I mean, Ace Ventura, Dumb and Dumber, Mask, they were funny when I originally saw them. But now it's like trying to go back and watch them. I'm like, this isn't funny. This is actually stupid.
Yeah.
Well, I never found him funny. To be quite honest, it's just like, oh my god. And people love, and I know not Jim Carrey, but people love Elf, and I'm going, oh,
I've never seen Elf. I have no reason to see Elf. There is nothing about that movie that seems interesting.
It's
And
not
when it comes
marketed to me.
and when it comes to Farrell, honestly, he's hit or miss for me.
for me, mostly miss. Um, that's just how it is.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
all of those movies have moments in them that are funny. Like to this day, probably one of the funniest memories of a Jim Carrey film that stand out in my head is that opening sequence from was that the second Ace Ventura, where he's climbing up the mountain and the guy in the chopper is trying to stop him, and he's like, he tells Ace, he says, if I were you, I wouldn't go up there. And Ace goes, well, if you were me, then I'd be you, and I'd use your body to get to the top. You can't stop me no matter who you are. Like I do find that kind of stuff still funny, but I'm not gonna watch an entire movie for 3 good jokes.
As Captain Trek would say, agreed. Okay, I'm going to agree with Robert Werger here. Yes, pretty much anything Dangerfield did was pretty much gold.
I get no
Yeah.
respect.
Same with some of the best comedy I ever saw was when you had now I'm drawing a blank on his damn name, Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor.
Gene
That was just,
Wilder and anybody.
but Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor just see no evil, hear no evil. The movies they did together, they were just, the chemistry between them was just fucking awesome.
2 thumbs up.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I can't remember the name of the movie. I'm gonna have to look it up. But I remember when he finally, Gene Wilder's character's in the car, and he steals the car, and Richard Pryor's in the back, and he's like, "Who are you? I'm a thief." I heard the way you handled old Oliver back there. I was listening. And then in See No Evil, Hear No Evil, he's the blind one, and all he keeps talking about is getting laid. You have a last request? Gene Wilder's can you scratch my nose? He scratches, gives him a kiss, and looks at him and goes, I suppose a fuck would be out of the question.
You can't do that nowadays.
Oh God, no.
Oh God, Saturday Night Live could not get away with like the Chevy Chase Richard Pryor skit they did back when he was interviewing for the janitor's position.
And they wouldn't be willing to try.
The problem is it's so goddamn funny.
Well, SNL used to be funny. They used to have actual comedians who were hungry and trying to make it out there doing good sets. And it's just like everything else in 2022. It's so corporatized that it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, yeah.
Well, I remember I used to watch back in the 80s and 90s. There used to be a channel, and I don't remember which one it was, but it would show original skits from the original era of Saturday Night Live with like Dan Aykroyd and the Blues Brothers and things like that, and Jim Belushi and stuff like that. And it was just hilarious. I'm a little kid. I'm watching something from the goddamn 70s, and I'm laughing my ass off at it. And it was just funny as hell to watch.
Mhm.
I think I think the downfall for Saturday Night for me when it came to comedy was when Eddie Murphy left. After that, it's nosedives. I couldn't stand Chris Farley. I
Really?
did not think I do not think Chris Farley was funny at all. And he was just too, I don't know how to describe
Cocaine.
it.
Yeah.
Too much cocaine in his nose,
Yeah.
maybe.
Good morning, Senator Redshirt, and yes, good morning, the lovely Sherry. How are you today?
Chris Farley was one of those comedians I think that was best taken in extremely small doses. Like if you're just say on a stream and somebody says something goofy and you play a clip of him yelling about being down by the river, you'll get a laugh from people. But if you were to try to sit there and watch that entire comedy segment, I don't think that it would hold up the way that it did back in the day. I don't think that people would enjoy it as much because it was just at the end of the day, it was a really coked up dude yelling about shit for 5 to 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Sam Kinison, what?
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. I was like, if I want to hear somebody yell at me, I'd rather it be Sam Kinison. But I know a lot of people who really can't stand Sam Kinison. And I can understand that. Sam Kinison had a very unique style of comedy that I absolutely. What's that?
Cocaine.
Oh, yeah, probably that too. Wasn't Melrose Place originally on the WB? No, that was actually on Fox. Because that and Beverly Hills 90210. Because Melrose was a spin-off, Hester. Now, I know some channel did like another 90210 and a Melrose Place, but I don't think they lasted very long. I don't have a clue. I, I know the CW seems to be pretty much focused on superheroes or rebooting stuff. Like I think they've rebooted Charmed.
Mhm.
I wouldn't be surprised.
And I think they've rebooted. Oh, see, what else have they rebooted? Walker. And I know another show they've rebooted. Roswell. That was another one they've rebooted.
None of those shows needed reboots.
No.
Well, in my opinion, the best thing on CW right now is Who's Line. Without Jim Carrey, of course, but Who's Line, in my opinion.
Well, Whose Line was always a fairly funny show, but even
Oh,
then,
yeah.
after a while, it's a
I'll be
stick
right
that
back.
kind of plays out. You know,
Yeah.
it's not something I could just sit there and binge watch all day.
Well, no. No. That would be oh, I've got an hour to spend. I'll watch it. That's fine.
Oh, and Penn and Teller's Fool Us is on CW as well. Penn and Teller, the magicians.
Yep.
They have a show Fool Us. Yeah.
Yeah, my problem with shows like that nowadays is that I'm just not. I don't really buy into it. Like everything else in our reality is heavily scripted, right? Right down to the media and the White
Mhm.
House and everything that we're seeing go on with all the bullshit in the world right now. Everything is scripted. So why would I expect that to not be scripted? You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Well, even shows that are presented as being not scripted are scripted. It's like, that's
Even like you watch those survival shows. Yeah, okay,
scripted.
technically those people might be on an island, but right behind the camera there's medical teams and everything else that you could imagine. Like nobody's gonna die out there. There's no real risk.
Trish asked the question here, Cap.
Hold on a second. I haven't seen it yet, so I'm not commenting. There are a few things I've heard that may not be the strongest spin-off they've had. But again,
Well,
I've not watched it.
well, I've seen all 3 episodes, and without spoilers, what I can say is the first episode's kind of slow, but it picks up a little bit in the second episode, but then it slows back down again in the third episode. Yeah, it goes stop and go, stop and go.
I'm a heavy Star Wars expanded universe guy.
Mhm.
That's my background with Star Wars, and I owned all the novels. I owned a good portion of the graphic novels and comics. I've played all of the games. I devoted a lot of time and money to that franchise, and so that's why I'm still pretty bitter about it. And I'm not impressed with anything Disney has done, especially this. This is not Boba Fett.
This is not the EU Boba Fett. That is for damn sure. And like you, Cosmic Fusion, if you look on my side over here, you'll see bookshelves. The one to the far back, that's all Star Wars EU. I'm talking
Nice.
books, comics. I got everything from Heir to the Empire to the entire New Jedi Order to Legacy to Dark Empire to, I mean, I've got a shit ton.
I was just explaining what Dark Empire was to somebody the other day.
That was what they tried to make the Rise of Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker. Yeah, that's what they were trying to do.
They so ripped that off right off to the fucking Death Stars with the ability to destroy planets.
Yeah, the axial super lasers.
Yeah,
but they were still too lazy to just make an Eclipse class Star Destroyer.
Exactly, which is what I was about to say. They ripped it off from the Eclipse class Star Destroyer. I actually took when I went to the Indiana Comic-Con, I actually saw Michael Stackpole was going to be there. So I took several of my comics and several of my books, and he signed all of them.
Nice.
I spent like 40 minutes just talking with him in between other people. But yeah, he was very, he loved talking about what he wrote, how him and Ellen Ulster collaborated on the X-Wing books. The one key book comic I wanted him to sign was the one where Luke and Mara Jade got married. That was like the key one I wanted him to sign, and he did.
Reunion, right?
Yes, Reunion. I think it's Reunion.
Yeah,
I'd have to look at my EU memory is not as proficient as it used to be because I haven't gotten into. I agree with you though. Overall, the story, the background, the flashbacks from the first 3 episodes, I quite enjoyed. I don't really know the second half, the modern part. That's where I'm kind of like, I agree. It's kind of got a little slow, a little high, a little low. It's kind of like, where are we going with these next 3 episodes? Seems a little jumpy.
7 episodes total.
Oh, I thought there was only 6.
Nope,
My
7.
bad. Okay, but still, we're basically halfway through, and it's kind of like, okay, what are we aiming for here? Obviously, we can kind of figure it out by the last episode we saw, but I kind of wish that they had started it out with just him being in the Bacta tank, and they could have done the whole first episode based around the flashbacks of the first 3 episodes, and could have done that in 1 episode, and that would have actually been, I think, a better story to start with.
I'm not sure because it might not have kept people going.
You're probably right.
It was too much of a flashback episode.
And to be fair to anybody in the chat who's talking about they like it, don't let me ruin it for you.
Right.
That's my personal opinion because I spent a lot of time and money on the EU. If it works for you and you're enjoying it, fucking enjoy it. Don't let me stop you.
Because if you think about it, the very first episode, it's kind of very reminiscent of what we heard Boba Fett say in Dark Empire. When he says, the Sarlacc found me indigestible in the comic book,
right?
And so I thought that was decent. But yes, I agree with you on this. This is not the Boba Fett you and I know from the EU. He's a much different type of character.
Well,
And
how would you describe him in this, since you've seen it, compared to the Boba Fett in both movies and the EU?
Cosmic Fusion.
Okay, so he's a lot more chill. He's a lot more toned down. He's a lot nicer in the book of Boba Fett, and I've noticed a few
Okay,
people
that right
mentioning.
there is just gonna piss me off. I'm sorry.
Well, sorry.
I'm sorry. Darth Vader pointing to him directly. No
No
disintegrations.
disintegrations. Yeah.
No disintegrations. Does not indicate a nice guy. I'm
Well,
sorry.
to give you
No disintegrations.
Yeah, to
Means he's
give
an
you some
asshole.
context of what we're talking, what NB and I are talking about when we say it's not the Boba Fett from the EU.
Mhm.
Boba Fett in the EU, years after getting out of the Sarlacc and having helped rebuild the Mandalorian nation and all kinds of other things, to give you an idea of how nice he was, Jaina Solo came to him uh, and asked him to teach her how to kill Jedi so she could kill her brother, Han's
Yep.
son. Han's daughter asked Boba Fett to teach her how to kill Jedi so she could kill her brother, and Boba Fett was 100% on board with the idea of teaching Han's kids how to fucking kill each other, and he did it, and then she killed him. Well, not Boba, she killed her brother.
Yep, she killed Jason. And that was a hell of a story. Or that one time when Han Solo in the New Jedi Order looks at it sees Boba Fett for the first time without his helmet on, and kind of makes the comment, "Oh, you look familiar." I just have one of those faces, hinting to the fact that he's a clone. But he says in one scene, he tells Han, "You are nothing more than just cargo." I mean, there was
Right.
a lot. And Boba Fett in the series as he goes through, he finds himself a purpose. He actually has a daughter who actually
And
takes up
granddaughter.
his and a granddaughter, and he and one of them actually takes up his mantle as Boba Fett. This gets recon later, but in the Young Jedi Knight series, we see this character playing Boba Fett, and I had to be honest, seemed a little off as Boba Fett talking about a code and everything. And it turned out later on, we find out in Legacy, this was actually Boba Fett's daughter.
Mirta Gev, I
I
believe was
believe
her
so.
name.
And why? And the whole reason why he is totally fine with teaching Jaina how to kill Jason is because Jason killed his daughter.
Right.
I mean, he killed her in an interrogation room.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Jason did a lot of wild shit. I mean, not to say Jason didn't deserve to get murdered. It's just Boba Fett was not this patriarchal second chances, let's just talk about it kind of guy. But
No,
that's just my take. I could be 100% wrong, and if you like it, that's fine.
but I mean, mostly when we see Boba Fett, he's not a nice guy. Well, there was right before the NJO books came out, there was that ebook uh, that you can find, and it was about Boba Fett, and it was called and I thought it summed it up perfect. Boba Fett was a practical man.
Yeah, Practical Man. That was a good little ebook.
That was a good little ebook. So the thing was when the EU went out, Cap, we had various impressions of characters post Return of the Jedi, and this is not how we saw Boba. This is not the journey we saw Boba Fett go on. Boba Fett never showed any interest in taking over Tatooine or becoming a crime boss. He ultimately ended up going back to bounty hunting for a
Mandalore.
while. Yeah, and then eventually going to Mandalore and taking up the title of Mandalore and the Mandalorian.
Though, fun fact, though, I don't know how fun it would have been for the character. During the Yuzon Vong War, they were so afraid of Boba Fett in general, and like specifically, but Mandalorians in general, that they seeded Mandalore with some kind of special virus, basically, and Boba Fett could never step foot on the planet again. He would
Yep.
instantly be killed.
I'll be back in about 2.
No problem.
Oh, Cosmic Fusion. Yeah, I forgot all about that. That's right. He can't go back to Mandalore ever again.
Yeah, so he was Mandalore, and he couldn't even step foot on the planet. And that was, I think, I could be wrong, but I want to say that was one of the last things Karen Travis had contributed. Because
Yes, because what happened was Karen Travis had done the Republic Commandos and then did the Imperial Commando, and then the TV series was going on, and they changed the entire makeup of Mandalore, even though she
right,
built the culture in the books. And they wanted her to try and retcon that. And she basically was like, fuck you, no. And I can't say I blame her. She put
no,
all that effort she put into the Imperial Commandos and the Republic Commandos and the Imperial Commandos. And those are a set of books, Cap, that are literally you either love them or you hate them. There's like no in between in Star Wars fandom in the EU for those books. You either really love Karen Travis's books or you really don't. For the
she caught a lot
Imperial,
of flack for those.
yes, she did, which I don't understand because, well, she writes a lot of military books. And being a guy who did 20 years in the military, I saw a lot of relevant things. She really understood. She's done her research on military infantry stuff. So I thought she did a fantastic job. I actually enjoyed, I started actually referring to Coruscant as 000.
Yeah, no, definitely. I thought they were wonderful novels. And to kind of touch on what you had said, her culture that she created for Mandalore was worlds better than whatever they had come up with in what was that, the Clone Wars. I mean, she literally created that language.
Yes, she did.
Good morning, Peach Freeze Peach Gaming. Thank you for joining today. Uh, good morning, Trish. How are you today? And I agree, Simple Jack. Amazing how much people remember about Star Wars lore. It's hilarious.
Well, at the time, and I'm going to say this is why the difference is why Star Wars EU means so much more to
Mm-hmm.
us than say like Star Trek EU or Doctor Who EU or something like that. At the time, we did not know that there was ever going to be any more Star Wars. As far as we knew, this was it. These were going to be the 3 movies. That was all we were going to get, other than the 2 made-for-TV movies, the droids, the Ewoks. I mean, that was it. Other than that, we only
Books and
had
games.
West End Games, which I played the hell out of, and used to have all the companion books. In fact, a lot of stories in the EU came from the West End Games storylines that they put in there, which was rather interesting. And we had the Batum and Del Rey when they were doing the books, and then we had Dark. What I found interesting was what really kept it interesting is they collaborated with each other. So, for example, when Timothy Zahn was doing the books for Heir to the Empire, Kevin J. Anderson was commissioned by Dark Horse to do the very first comic book, which was Dark Empire. Dark Empire takes place after Heir to the Empire, and he actually collaborated. He called up Timothy Zahn and collaborated and said, "Hey, can you give me kind of an idea of what's going on with what you're doing with your books and stuff? I'm writing this, series that this 6-part comic book that takes place after your series, and I want to make sure I'm not, stepping on your toes." And this was the beginning of the collaboration between the comics and the book company to keep the continuity flowing and try to keep it in sync. Now, were there continuity errors? Of course there were. You're not going to have a massive franchise like this without having them, but they really tried to contain them. And then when they needed to, they found a reasonable way to retcon things. Now, later on down the road, it gets a little crazy when the TV series comes out, and it was just kind of like, that was kind of the beginning of the end of the EU. It was kind of like they shouldn't have tried to cram that in.
No,
But
I
the
agree.
EU was just a continuation of our characters, and we had some really great series. We got some really great books. Unfortunately, you got things like oh god, what was that one that nobody likes? I can't think of the name of the book. It was just a terrible book. It was some interdimensional being.
Abeloth?
Huh? No, not Abeloth.
Not Abeloth. Not
No. I can't think of the name of it. Anyway, it was one of those books that was written by one guy and he was never asked to come back to write another one again. It had
There
like
was a
Luke
few of
Gordon.
those. Like the chick that wrote, I think, what was it? Children of the Jedi, maybe? Barbara Hambly or something like that. I think she only wrote the one book.
No, she wrote two.
Did she?
Yeah, it was technically an unofficial 3-part trilogy. I think you're talking Children of the Jedi, Dark Saber, and the third book that I got them all sitting back here. This was supposed to be apparently the character that he meets up with, which is the Jedi that he meets.
Callisto.
Yeah, Callista. This is supposed to become the love of his life. The problem is, this is what the writer planned, and apparently the bosses had to come up and tell her later. It's like, we're actually hooking him up with Mara Jade soon, so you're gonna have to nix this.
Yeah, she ends up like
what,
trapped in a computer or something, right?
oh God, I'd have to look it up.
Yeah,
It's been so. Darksaber was one that actually did something that we hadn't seen in a long time. That actually killed off a character that was very popular in the EU, and that was Crix Nadine.
Which was a great character. But that was an epic sacrifice. He went out like a boss.
Yeah, he did, because he knew they were about to win.
Yeah.
Because he looked out the window and he knew they were about to win, and he knew he was about to die. But he's like, I know you're going to lose. So he did go out like a boss. But in the EU, my favorite EU character, I've got to give it to Ganner Rand from the New Jedi Order.
Oh, yeah. I know you're talking. Ganner Rysode or something like that?
Yeah, Ganner Rysode, yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm talking about Lance, you're right. I was talking about the Crystal Star. That was the one I'm talking about.
Yeah,
that one is pretty much universally despised by EU fans.
Bit of a misstep, yeah.
It's one of those, thankfully, it's only one book.
Hey, guys, I got to jump off because I got to start my day. I'll see y'all another time. Nice chatting with y'all.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Good to meet you.
Yeah, see you, Captain.
Take care, BK.
Bye, Captain.
Yeah, Ganner Rysarf became one of my favorite characters. I mean, right up there with Koran Horn.
That's probably my favorite EU character.
Koran Horn, yeah.
Yeah.
I actually asked. That was actually something I asked Michael Stackpole about. I said, "Did you always intend for Koran Horn to become a Jedi?" And he goes, "Yes." Said that was always the intention. And another gentleman came up and asked him where he got the idea for the first person set. And, he was the first person to do it. I think there's only been one other in the new continuity that's been done in first person, but that was done all first person. And he was asked how he came about it. And the Jedi Academy trilogy was written by Kevin J. Anderson. And the thing is, there was 11 students, but you only ever get the names of like 4 of them or 5 of them. And he said he talked with Kevin J. Anderson, and Kevin J. Anderson, he did that on purpose. So to leave it open for, people to maybe write a story inside of that Academy trilogy, if they wanted to take one of them, or to open up to maybe creating a new character that was in the Academy at the time. So he purposely left that open, and that's where Stackpole got the idea of how to put him in there and do it that way. And I was just like, shit, that's, but like I said, in that EU area, they really collaborated with each other.
Well, it's kind of funny that you say that because I've had people ask me, what's a good place to start with the EU? And, the typical response that most people give is Heir to the Empire. And a lot of times I'll tell people start with Jedi. It's a unique story about a really good character. It's a standalone story, and if you like it, you can go back and you'll enjoy, like say the X-Wing series that much more.
Yeah, the EU. Well, I talked to when I talked to Michael Stackpole as well as I said, you wrote some great characters, and I said, you had some characters that we had emotions for, and then you would kill them off. And he goes, yes, and this was kind of intentional. He goes, because in battle people die, and it was foreshadowing there. I loved him, and the joke about the Ewok getting the prosthetics and everything. And
And he had a knack for taking wacky characters like that and making you care, making you take them seriously and making you care. The Another good example is the Gamorrean
yes, that
that's
was.
been like. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead, continue.
It's if for anybody that's curious, it's a Gamorrean that's been I want to say genetically or mechanically modified to be a genius, and so it's a hyper intelligent Gamorrean.
Yeah, shit. What was his name?
Ooh, I don't know.
And actually, that character was created by Alan Alster. That was actually a creation because I asked Michael about that, and he said no, that was actually Alan Alster who came up with that one. I
Yeah, I
said,
think that was
oh,
a Wraith Squadron member.
yes, that was the Race Squadron one. Yes, you are right. That was such a great series. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, isn't that the no when they bring in Isard's Revenge? I thought that was a good one.
Insane Asard. Completely insane. So I mean, a little on the nose there. As somehow it's one of those retcon things where you don't really care, or at least at the time we didn't. Like they gave her a super star destroyer. It's just like out of nowhere. Yeah, no, that was always a thing. She had it.
Oh, that's right. He was called Vortsen Brignigi, or they just called him Piggy.
Yeah, Piggy was his call sign.
Yeah,
He had
Piggy was his call
Piggy,
sign.
Face, because Face was an actor.
Yep. Actually, wasn't he also very young too? Oh no, that's right. He was an actor for Imperial propaganda.
Yeah,
That's right.
and
That's
so
right.
he was one of those guys where everybody's like, don't I know you from somewhere?"
I mean, the EU just brought so much to us because it's all we had. And it stayed, for the most part, very fluid for us to go with. So I can imagine probably when you found out Disney was scrapping the continuity, I can imagine you were probably as upset as I was.
I was a bit
I,
irate.
I literally I did this. I looked because I was in a different house at the time, and I looked back and I looked at my EU books and just kind of started to get upset. And I had a buddy at work who was a huge EU fan, another huge EU fan, another tech sergeant like me. And I remember him asking me a question one time. We were talking. He goes, "Okay, you're a real Star Wars fan. Who's the hero of the movies?" I was like, "All six movies?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, R2D2. Because if you think about it, if it wasn't for R2D2, they'd all be dead.
Across multiple films, R2 at some point saves just about everyone.
Yep.
Yeah, that's one of the things I hated about. That was one of the big things I hated about the sequel trilogy is they regulated R2 to basically not well between R2, C3PO, and Chewbacca, they rated them to basically just window dressings for all shits and purposes.
And as um, plot points. They're not characters. They're just plot elements. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't. I'd be here all day if I started shitting on the sequels. That's a whole other can of worms.
Oh God, that's a whole segment piece you could do over the span of a month and probably not get it done. One of the things I was very pleased about how the EU ended, if you really kind of want to put an end point on it, was I thought Crucible, while not a great, awesome, fantastic book, it was basically supposed to be the last book for the big four, for Luke, Han, Leia, and Lando, because Chewbacca had died in Vector Prime at this point. And it was, and we were supposed to get Sword of the Jedi. We were supposed to get a trilogy of Jaina Solo, and then, that got squashed after the EU was, after Disney bought it, which I'll be honest, that really fucking pissed me off because I really wanted to see Jaina get her own trilogy.
Yeah, that would have been cool. I didn't realize they had been planning a Sword of the Jedi trilogy, but that makes sense. Um, I do agree, though, that Crucible is a great way to tie it off, so to speak. It serves as a relevant endpoint, especially because it takes place post the Fate of the Jedi series, I think, with Abeloth, and post what was the last Wraith novel? Mercy Kill.
Was it Mercy Kill or Sunkill? I think you're right. I think it is Mercy Kill. I can check real quick. Yep, you're right. Mercy Kill, because it's right. Yeah, literally. I've literally got them next to each other.
Nice. Yeah. So I mean, and that's also another great novel, Mercy Kill, to tie off the Wraith
The X-Wing.
Squadron X-Wing series.
Yep. Well, I love it's kind of funny because in the series, there's a point where they tell Wedge, you've got to take the promotion to general. It's like, you've got to do it. People are refusing promotions because you won't take a promotion. So they're like, that's why in Jedi Academy, he's now a general. Because he kept refusing to take a general position. And they're finally telling him, they're like, no, you've got to take this promotion. It's not optional anymore. That was kind of funny.
And they did that with a few characters, because there were a number of characters that served throughout the rebellion, that once the New Republic came into existence, that they kept pushing to get commissions, and they just did not want them. Wedge, Han, what's his name? Gavin Darklighter, I think.
Yep.
There were a few.
Yes. We didn't even mention. Yeah, we totally forgot to mention Gavin Darklighter wasn't he the nephew? He was the nephew of Biggs, right?
Right. So he's technically related to Luke. I'm not sure how. I want to say like cousins or something like that.
I don't remember that, but that'd be easy to look up.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the Darklighters are. I mean, I guess technically he wouldn't actually be blood related to Luke. Like, I guess they would have been related to the Larses.
Yeah, that's a possibility. One of the, trying to think here. Oh, one of the things Michael Stackpole said to me is one of the reasons why he made Corran Horn the way he did is because in the Jedi Academy trilogy, you have Kip Durham, who's basically almost as powerful, if not even somewhat a little more powerful than Luke Skywalker. And he was like, he did not want Corran Horn to be compared to Kip Durham. That's why he gave him that, weakness. The one thing he can't do is, lift things up or something like that. That's one Jedi ability he can't do.
Yeah, the telekinetics.
And that stays throughout the entire series. I mean, it's always, even his son can't do it. Because when they have children and he is forced, that's a limitation they have.
Right. He did have a really cool lightsaber though that quite nobody else in that era of the EU was using, which would probably be fairly advantageous in a fight. I want to say, he could twist the handle and suddenly add like an extra meter or two to the blade. It would just extend out further.
Yeah, I remember that. He was able to change the size of his lightsaber.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, his lightsaber was silver colored,
Yep.
kind of like Ahsoka Tano's would be.
Right. Well, man,
Well,
this has been great talking EU because I don't know anybody in my circle that really knows it this much. But I do kind of need to run. I've been
Oh,
sitting in
no
this chair for
problem.
almost 3 hours.
Absolutely. Actually, you and NB ought to talk sometime. As
Yeah,
far as
no,
that goes, I would honestly suggest NB that you have him on the stream and talk
oh God,
EU.
we could have a. Are you on Twitter?
yeah, I'm on. You can find me on Twitter, and
Yeah.
I'm
Let me
real
shoot you
easy to work
my.
with.
Yeah, let me shoot you my my handle real quick on
Nice.
Twitter. I'm gonna put it in the DM. Yeah, man, I don't get to talk a lot of EU with very knowledgeable people who know it as well as I do. I know some people who know some, and then I know people who can wipe the floor with me with EU knowledge.
Well,
With
I lose a lot of it over time.
well, I think we all kind of after I think after the Disney kind of got it, it kind of put a sour taste in our mouth. And I see, I can't read this new EU stuff. I did try, but I'm just kind of like, no, no, this doesn't feel right. I just can't get into. I can get into the shows, but I can't get into another EU. Which actually, I think Cosmic Fusion, it'd be a really interesting story if we talked about the fact that this is technically the third incarnation of the EU,
Right.
because there was the first one, which was before there was officially an EU. Then there was the EU from Heir to the Empire, all the way up until the Disney EU. That'd be.
Right.
I've actually thought about doing a couple segments on that. I'd love to have you on there.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I'd have to break out my copy of Splinter of the Mind's Eye so we could talk about the real episode 5.
There is a
But
story, but there is a big story behind that. There's a lot to talk about in Splinter of the Mind's Eye and why it
yeah,
was created.
I could be wrong. Was that Alan Dean Foster that
Yes,
did
it
that one?
was. Yes, it was. Technically, Alan Dean Foster is the first EU writer because he ghost wrote Star Wars, a Luke Skywalker story, uh, which was supposed to be the movie version, the book version of the movie, and then Splinter of the Mind's Eye. So he is really the originator of the EU.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, guys, yeah, this has been great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, check the
Thank you.
private chat. I sent you my handle there. You can definitely find me. We can definitely collaborate. Pick some times. I don't work. I'm retired, so I've got free time to do a lot of different things. But yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'm already following you. So we'll definitely collaborate and we'll get something going.
All right, about to follow you back. Gotcha. Yeah, definitely get back with me, and we can set up a time, man. I'd love to talk. I could talk this shit for days.
Yeah, easy. All right, Kat.
Yes. Excuse me. I had to cough for a second. Thank you again, Cosmic Fusion. It was fun to have you on today. And I'm looking forward to talking more. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. And yeah, definitely get in touch with me on Twitter yourself, and we can work out some of those other things we were talking about.
Yep, I'll
All
get
right.
with you.
Later, guys.
Man,
Ah.
feels like forever. I had a good EU talk.
Yeah. It's well, like I said, you should have him on the stream. I think it would be one of your most popular streams.
I would
'Cause there are a
say
lot of
so.
people that love to hear about the EU. They may not know about it, but they love to hear about it.
Yeah, there's so much to it we could talk about. I mean, it spans, it spans almost a generation. I think if you start from the beginning of the second EU to the Disney era, I think it spans almost 25, 30 years.
Wow. Yeah, I would definitely say have different segments on that with them
Yeah,
and
you
talk
couldn't really,
just
yeah,
talk about each topic, break it down, figure out what you're going to be talking about each time. That way, it's not a 12-hour stream. Uh,
oh yeah, you could definitely break this down into like hour and a half chunks and just, kind of do a series of it because like I said, the way his knowledge is that I can tell and my knowledge and we can easily get into a topic and we could probably get on a one book at like you talked about Splinter of the Mind's Eye. We could do a whole 15, 20 minutes just talking about that one book. Because I can talk history of it. I can talk all kinds of stuff. Yeah, I miss that. That used to be one of the funnest things I did at work when I was working with people and I was working around a bunch of geeks. I mean, we talk about Star Wars EU. We talk about Batman the Animated Series. I mean, we had a point one time everybody was talking about who their favorite Joker was, and I kind of was. Everybody was they asked me, and I was like, my favorite Joker, Mark Hamill. And my buddy who was sitting down, he was a contractor. He kind of looked up, looked at me, goes, "I'm agreeing with Jess here."
I would have to agree as well. Oh, anyhow.
Well, I think mainly why is not just what he did in the animated series, but what he did in the games. I mean,
Hmm.
he really knew how to take the Joker's persona and really make it work. And he had the best Joker laugh.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about that. No doubt at all about that.
Lance
Uh,
mentioned Lance mentioned a minute ago here. I read some EU, Jedi Academy, Heir to the Empire, Crystal Star. I love the earlier periods myself, Young Jedi Knights. Actually, Young Jedi Knights, Lance, it was the first books I started reading in the EU. And what Young Jedi Knights was, and what Young Jedi Knights was about, Captain, was about Jason and Jaina Solo, the twins from Luke
hmm
and from Han and Leia. Also had to deal with Lobaka, which was the cousin of Chewbacca.
Right.
Tila Ka, who was I can't remember who she was. That she was a daughter of a princess. I'd have to re-remember that. But it really kind of, it was several story arcs. I think there was 9 books in the series dealing with, their growth through the Jedi Academy. Luke doesn't really have a lot to do with this, which is actually a good thing. It focuses mainly on these kids. And Jason is the joker of the group per se. He's the one who's always telling these really silly jokes. And then
Yeah.
you get into the new Jedi Order and you get into Legacy and you get into that and he has changed. He has gotten darker. The character I knew and watched grow. This was another thing, I watch these kids be born. I watch them grow up. I watch several of them die. And there was a real personal touch to it because I
Hmm.
had grown up with these characters and read about them and stuff. So they really knew how to put an emotional connection to it. In a way, I think they are failing. They failed miserably with the sequels.
And Resolute Germ says nephew of Chewie.
Yes. And Lobaka had a translator that he had around him for a while until the children eventually all learned how to speak. They eventually learned how to speak. Is it Shriekroot? Shriekroot, I believe is how it's pronounced. We actually see them build their own lightsabers in the Jedi Academy, and one of them, Tila Kana, she makes her handle out of a crate dragon's tooth.
Wow.
Yeah, actually, let me see if I can find the book that actually shows her holding that. I think you might find it interesting. Just give me a second.
And if you're able to join Resolute Germ, you're more than welcome. You know that.
Yeah, here you go. Yeah, here you go. Let's see if you can see this.
Let me- hold on. Hold that. Ah, wow.
Yep, that was actually the first time I ever actually got to physically see it. And damn, I thought it looked awesome. She actually, she's actually an interesting character because in one instance, when they're having a training exercise, Jason accidentally cuts off her hand. And from then on, she never replaces her hand.
Yeah. And good morning, Resolute Germ.
Good morning.
Hey,
So,
Jeremy,
how are you enjoying your unwelcome time off work?
And not too bad at this point. Been able to get a little bit of work done on a video or two.
Well, at least you made something out of it.
Yeah.
That's good. So, what? Now, you all were talking. Obviously, you were just saying a little bit in the chat about the EU. What do you know about it? Because I know very little.
Yeah, most of the stuff I know is well over 15 years old. The last series I read consistently was the Legacy of the Force. So yeah, that was quite a long time ago. I was just correcting MB on some of the details. Like the princess was the Hoppin Consortium princess.
Ah,
thank you.
okay.
Yeah, I couldn't remember the name of the government.
Yeah, her father was the only real. I think it's Prince. I think it's Ithor or something
Yeah,
similar.
I thought we're going back to the one where he was supposed to marry Princess Leia.
Yeah, the only real suitor for Leia other than Han.
What was that? The wedding of no, that wasn't the wedding of Princess Leia.
The courtship of Princess Leia.
Courtship of Princess Leia. Thank you. And
I
remember,
believe that's
Princess
where
Leia
was where they brought in Dathomir. That Han was technically the ruler of Dathomir. I may be wrong about that.
I don't remember that. Like I said, I gotta knock off some of the cobwebs of my EU time. What was interesting in Courtship of Princess Leia is Leia was willing to do it because it was a political marriage. But yeah, Tila is the daughter of Ithor and the princess, which I cannot remember her damn name.
No, he is the prince. He married a force sensitive. I don't even think she was a noble or politically connected.
Now I gotta look that up.
But Ithor was the one connected to the royalty in the consortium.
Yeah, you are correct on that. I forgot who he married.
I want to say it was someone Luke had dealings with, because she was very force sensitive, to the point where when their fleet got mainly wiped out in the new Jedi Order, she never recovered from it.
Tina Nell Dejol, I believe is how her name was pronounced. That's who he married. And she became the Queen Mother of the Habs Consortium. This is what you're talking about here. Okay, I see. Jojo was, and I'm probably saying it wrong, was also a member of the Singing Mountain clan of the Witches of Dathomir. So I think that's where you were coming up with Dathomir in there.
I know at some point during that courtship, Han was conned into, or he tried to con his way into being declared ruler of a planet, and it didn't go very well for him. I thought that was Dathomir, because he is desperately trying to compete with Ithor.
Yeah. His ego was kind of his ego was really getting in his way.
Now, I'm not sure if it's Dathomir or not, but all I remember is he was technically the ruler, and it almost got him and Chewie killed. I said it's been at least 10, 15 years since I've read any of that.
This might have actually been the first time the Witches of Dathomir ever were brought up.
That's the first time I've heard of it, so I'm definitely not the one to ask.
I think this was the first time they were mentioned, because this was a very early EU book. So, yeah, one of the earlier ones, I believe.
Yeah, it might be.
Anyhow. Well, I do want to thank everybody for joining me, including oh my God. Anyhow, thank you everybody who's been in the chat, everybody who's been on the panel. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and talk to you soon.